Hello, everyone. Tracy Huff here, and I wanted to take the time to share with you this presentation on the Struggle Survival Guide. So, we're all right now, at the time of this recording, going through the COVID-19 pandemic, which is something that has created a lot of different stresses and struggles for all of us. So, I thought that this would be a good time to walk everyone through a guidebook on how to take the moment that we're in and take the stress and the overwhelm and the struggle and everything that's going on, and let's see how we can make it work for us, like how we can turn this struggle into some place where we can thrive and not get lost in this moment and lost in maybe the despair of what's going on. So this is about turning your obstacles into opportunities. So we all know that life is full of obstacles already. And, for most people, this is one of the most challenging aspects of life. We get started, we do this usually at the first of the year. We set goals, we're enthusiastic, and we're ready to take it on and ready to get everything through them. And everything looks good, and we have momentum, and then it hits. Then it happens, the setback. And then we stall out, and then we don't know what to do, and then we feel like we weren't supposed to do it, and then things come to a halt, and then we just let it go. All right, now, some people enjoy this. Some people think like that's where the juice is, and some people don't, and some people stop and allow those obstacles to get in their way. So we want to define what an obstacle is, right? And we want you to become that person that thinks the obstacles are fun and that they look at them as challenges and look at them as opportunities. So in order to do that, let's go back to the beginning. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, what are obstacles? The dictionary definition is a thing that blocks one's way or prevents or hinders progress, right? So that's pretty, Captain Obvious explanation. However, obstacles come in a few different varieties, right? So we've got our external obstacles, which is what we're in right now. Like no one on this planet could control this natural disaster called COVID-19. But we also run into them with earthquakes and wildfires, and the economy is another external obstacle. It could be going good for some, bad for others. Something catastrophic health-wise might happen with a car accident or a bad diagnosis with cancer or some other limitation in your health that reduces your mobility. And I've had an injury myself since February, and that's an external obstacle that challenges me on a daily basis. And then sometimes the external obstacles are the people around you. It could be your boss, it could be family, it could be friends, it could be coworkers. So we have those external obstacles to deal with. But then we also have the ones on the inside. And the internal obstacles can come in a few different ways as well, where you might be having some financial challenges. So something unexpected comes up, it's inevitable. Your tires go out, or you have to get new tires whenever you thought you were ahead. Or maybe you've got some conflicts at work. You've got some people that you have to work with that you don't communicate very well with. Or maybe someone in your work environment has decided that they don't like you and they're making it really hard for you. Or maybe you're doing a job that you're doing because you had to do, not necessarily because you chose to do it, and it's not as fulfilling as you'd like for it to be. And then we have health issues, which we do have some control over, but we have internal obstacles that might be stopping us from achieving that, whether it's the peer pressure of an environment, if we have a family that loves to eat, or if we're surrounded by people that can eat anything and never gain weight, or if we have some history in our family. And then there's also relationship issues. So those kind of go in ebb and flow, whether it's with your kids, whether it's with your siblings, with your spouse, with your parents. I think everyone can relate to having those obstacles in their lives. I was disowned from my family when I was 18, and even though my son is almost 30 now, he sometimes that still comes up for me in a lot of weird ways as I go through life and I observe things. So we have some internal struggles that we have to deal with. Now, let's talk about the good news. Like, we all know how all of those things feel, but let's talk about the good news. Let's talk about how obstacles can benefit us. Like, we're in that moment of feeling it. They don't feel very good. We don't feel very good about ourselves. But if we can kind of step back, if it, depending on how you got to this presentation, maybe you're seeing this for the first time, but we have a book that's called Take a Minute, which will help you like pull the emotions out of your struggle, so you can take a step back from what the moment that you're in, and you can take that obstacle and allow it to teach you something. So I'm a big Tony Robbins fan. I'm a big Wayne Dyer fan, and two of the things that they've taught me. Tony Robbins has always taught, and I can't remember what program it was in, but about asking better questions. So when you're in that moment, you have to ask better questions. And one of my go-to questions is very first thing from this slide is, what can I learn from this? Okay, what can I learn from this? Wayne Dyer taught it the same concept a little differently when he talked about how it's the people that drive you the most crazy in your life that have the most to teach you. So when I find myself running up against a person or a situation that constantly, I kind of go through, okay, what lesson am I supposed to learn so I can get over this? So two different men, two different ways of teaching the same thing. You have to ask better questions. And so if you step back and you ask a question on, what can I learn from this? It'll help shift your perception on what this thing is, right? And if we do that, we can let it make us stronger. We can let it make us stronger. So one thing that I've learned from obstacles is, gosh, I'm trying to decide which one. So let's just go with the one I've already shared. So I was disowned when I was 18. I was in the Army. And I was 18 years old, and I was at my first duty station in Ansbach, Germany. And I called my dad and my mom to tell them that I was pregnant with my son. And they didn't disown me immediately, but they did go ahead and start shaming me for allowing myself to become pregnant. They didn't ask me about the man I was seeing. They didn't ask me if I was in love. They didn't ask me any of those questions. But I came from a very religious family, so premarital sex was not what they taught and promoted with me. So I'm in a foreign country. I'm feeling guilt and I'm feeling shame and I'm feeling bad, right? I'm feeling like I sinned, and I have all these negative emotions. So that in that moment, before they officially disowned me, they were pushing me to make a decision that I didn't want to make. They were pushing me to not be the mother to the child that I was carrying. And so that forced me to make a decision. And it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make, because I chose to raise my son, which resulted in losing my entire family, right? So going through that at 18, was it hard? Yes. Yes, it was hard. I was alone, and I was alone. But when we go back to like what it could teach us, I knew that even though I was alone, that I had a job because I was in the Army. It was a job that wasn't going anywhere. I also knew that I had health insurance. And I also knew that the man that I created this child with, who is now my husband, and we've been married for almost 30 years, but that's another story. But I knew that I could get through it, that I had the resources. And so in a way, it helped me in that moment figure out what was really important. Because what was important was it important to make my decision as an adult, even though 18 is the first adult decision besides joining the Army that I made. But it helped me see that in that moment, I needed to make a decision for me for the rest of my life, not succumb to what my parents and my family and they were trying to pressure me to be. And so as a result of that, when I came up across something else like that, when I ran into, so the second part of that whole story is, my husband is black, and we had a mixed race baby, and so after my child was born, we ran into some more obstacles and some more judgments, and so it helped me build my persistence in the fact that I know that I made the right decision of being his mother, and I know I made the right decision of choosing to be with my boyfriend's now husband, right? And it did force me to be a little bit more creative when it came to family, because when I say my entire family disowned me, they all of a sudden we became Italian. We were not Italian, and they would not speak my name. They acted as if I didn't even exist. And so I had to be more creative to look and to find those mother figures and those father figures and the siblings and the sisters. And so I got really creative and I got really good at creating a family with the people that were around me. So that is what I got really good at. Um, did it help me narrow my focus? Let's talk about it. I'll just use this. Did it help me narrow my focus? Yeah, because when you're looking for family, it did make me very cautious because of the experience with my personal family, like the ones that were supposed to love me no matter what and were supposed to support me no matter what. It did make me very, very focused on the people that I chose to let into my life. And it also made me grateful for when they showed up because everywhere I went, they showed up, which reaffirmed, in my opinion, reaffirmed that I made the right decision because everywhere I went, I had that figure. I had that mother figure to help me learn things I needed to learn because I was 18. I never lived on my own. I was living in the barracks. I didn't know how to raise a baby, run a house. I didn't know any of that, but someone always showed up to teach me. And and so I did learn to be grateful for those moments and to be grateful for those friendships. And and now, fast forward, right? He's almost 30. One of the sweetest rewards I get for making that choice is to be the Mimi to my grandbabies. Okay, it helps, and now I get to be the Mimi to my grandbabies. But had I made different choices, my life would have gone a different way. And so, I do look at the family that I did get to create because I had another son as well, and I don't have any grandbabies by him yet. However, I do get to live through the dichotomy of my two kids and the different ways that they are in the world and the different things that they're choosing to create. So yeah, so it can bring the sweetest rewards, but they can also help us embrace change because did I have to grow from that 18-year-old? Why I turned 19 right after I had my son? Did I have to grow up? Yes. Did I have to change? Yes. Did I go through moments where I still felt shame? Yes. Did I have to combat that with my personal? Yeah, I had to do all of those things and I had to do them more than once. And being the mother of my son James was not easy. So he was constantly pushing me and helping me change. But it did prepare me for that with people outside of my family. So when you have to go through something like that and you have to endure that, when it happens with strangers, it doesn't hurt as much, right? Because I've had to endure that. So did it help me for future rejections? Yes. Did it help me for future obstacles when it came to relationships, communication? Yes. Yes. Now, I'm not saying any of that is easy. I'm just saying that it does help. So the opportunities, right? So I had some decisions and choices to make and all that. So what I say is, and in the moment, it felt horrible. It did. I felt judged, and there was some other layers to that that my that we had, which I'll go into a different presentation, but there were layers of obstacles in that because it was during Desert Storm. My husband was not divorced at the time, he was separated, and I was in a foreign country, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on. But I had to make a decision to embrace the struggle. Like when I made that decision to be the mother of my son, I had decided to embrace that. Now, did I know in that moment everything it was going to involve? No. No. But did I always go back to the fact that I felt I made the right decision? Yes. And I couldn't bury my head in the sand, right? I knew that I had things that I had to learn, I had to create, I had to come back. But I got to stay in the moment. Any of you that are parents know, I think one of my supervisors said a long time ago that God lets us watch our children sleep so that we can forgive them for everything that they create for us. So being in that moment and finding those sweet moments, um, being the mother of my son and being a mom and being able to be someone that important in someone's life is what helped me focus. And I'm not gonna lie, proving my dad wrong, proving my family wrong also helped me stay in that moment. Doing everything that I said I was gonna do when they told me everything I wouldn't do and everything I wouldn't accomplish and how horrible of a person I am and where my life would end up. So yeah, that all helped me stay in the moment too. That'll help me stay in the moment too. But I used it as fuel. They said I joined the Army to pay for my college education. So I did. I got my college education. I got 2 degrees. They said I wouldn't ever live in a nice home. I live in a nice home. I have a great relationship. So I use those things to help me stay in the moment. And I didn't allow myself to panic, right? So that's where the routine and then just taking action helps, right? So that I didn't panic. I knew that I had to put one step in front of the other, especially when I was pregnant and after I gave birth, they were expecting me to go to Desert Storm. They were expecting me to give my child over to someone to take care of and get on a plane and then go in the desert. Now, I was blessed in the fact that it was one of the shortest wars we've ever fought and that I didn't have to go because by the time I had my baby, we were actually coming back. So, but I also had those things and I had to focus on taking care of that. So, not being able to panic, find the routine and not panicking. The other way, taking a step back and changing your perspective. These kind of all of these steps, taking a step back is pulling the emotion out, choosing what you want, changing your perspective. How can I learn from this? What can I do? How can I grow? How can I make things better? How can I turn this to work for me? Looking for a mentor. If you look, they will show up. Every single time I looked, I found. And I was always open for however they showed up. Sometimes they showed up as spouses of soldiers I worked with. Sometimes they showed up as my direct commanders. Sometimes they showed up as friends of friends. So, I mean, just look for the mentors. They will show up. And the second caveat of looking for a mentor is ask. Ask for help. Ask them to help you. And then know that it's just going to take time. Everything takes time. Sometimes it doesn't work out as fast as we want, but we'll find out that that's the perfect way for it to work for us. You have to trust in that and know that things take time to accomplish. And in this moment with the COVID-19, we've got time. A lot of people are working from home. I don't know. I don't feel like I have more time. I feel like I don't have a lot of time. Other people are getting their closets cleaned out and getting their houses cleaned. That's something I'm not creating for myself in this moment. But I'm choosing to look at different things a little differently for that. So, but just accept time that it takes time for things to get accomplished. Okay. And know that you're going to have to try something new. You can't get from obstacle to opportunity by doing the same things. And this is a great time to do it because trying something new, doing something new, learning something new is what everyone is sharing. So we're all stuck in our homes. We're all stuck in this moment. And so many people are so giving what they're giving and putting out into the world. So find it, look for it, try it. And if you have to go the long way, it doesn't mean it's a forever end. Right? Detours aren't dead ends. Sometimes we got to take the detours to pick up that skill or to learn what we need to learn about ourselves to keep moving forward. And like you'll find out one of the first chapters in the book that we have in the course that we have is that life obstacles are a part of life. Obstacles are part of what happens when you are trying to succeed. I was just listening to a training before I recorded this, and he was talking about the founder of Nike and his book. I can't remember, but the founder of Nike wrote his book about like all of the stress and everything that was going through when he was creating the empire and every time he got to the next level. And now he's at the end, right? He's created Nike. We all know what Nike is, and everyone's got Nike, Nike, Nike. And he's at the end, and he wishes the one thing that he regrets about the entire process is that he didn't enjoy it. So anticipate and know obstacles are part of the process. If there's anyone you follow, I don't care who it is, they've all had a struggle, and the struggle has always brought them exactly where they needed to go. So let's start looking at them as learning opportunities and growth opportunities, and then take action through it. Now, for me, with this, I go to martial arts school, and so we had to take all of our classes virtual. And so for a while there, we didn't. We had some people that weren't showing up for class because they were scared. Completely fine. But I had some that wanted to show up for class, so they weren't. So we had to do two things, right? We had to take action. So I knew I could do something. So I knew we may get closed down. So we went ahead and moved our classes virtual. And so I got most of the kinks out because I was using a laptop that I spilled tea on. And so it decided at random moments to stop working, right? Couldn't anticipate that? Maybe. Maybe not, right? But I still took action. So I had a plan, I had a plan, I had a plan, I have a plan. And now that we're doing them all virtually, now that we're doing classes virtually, now we have to have a plan to have engaging classes. Now we have to have a plan to still engage new students. We got to have a plan to give back to our community. So you can push through anything by just making sure you're taking some action and doing something so that you feel good about what you're doing. All right, so that is how you can take your obstacles and turn them into opportunity. So I hope that this course has helped you, and I hope that you found something in here that can inspire you to take action. And so we've got, if you haven't, so we've got a few things for you. So we do have a whole course for you. So if this is something that you're like, yes, this sounds really good, but how do I do it? We've got you covered with that. Like we're giving everyone 75% off. So for $24, you can get our Struggle Survival Guide workbook, and then we have the workbook that's going to take you through like outlining what obstacles are you facing, how can you turn them into opportunities, right? You're going to get the workbook, you're going to get the ebook, and I've got everything on audio file as well. And you'll also get our Take a Minute ebook that's going to walk you through how to pull that emotion out and be able to step back and to get some perspective on the moment that you're in and start looking at it objectively and start looking at it as a tool. So that's all available to you if you want it. And if you don't, that's fine too. We also have an entire free resource library for you. In the resource library, what you're going to find is we've got them broken down. So we've got them broken down by parenting tips and hacks. We've got them broken down by leadership. We've got them broken down by self-esteem. We've got them broken down by personal development. So you can access all of the free resources we have out there. I gave you a little bit of my story about where I came from and what happened to me when I was really young. And that's one of the reasons why I try to provide as many tools as I can. Because when all of that happened to me, it was before the internet was big. So like finding resources and finding access to things wasn't as easy as it is right now. But I'm trying to put everything I can into one library. So the only thing is when you go to access the library, you will need to register. You will need to create a login. But once you create the login, you will have access to all of the resources. I put stuff in there. I try to put stuff, a few new things in there every month. Everything we've got going on right now, I'm trying to do some more, but you'll see there's free courses, free presentations, free books, free videos, free audios, and anything that you might need. You just please reach out to me and let me know, and I will get that out there too. So I hope this has helped you find a way to creatively think and change through what we've got going on in this moment. And I hope that you take advantage of our course, and I hope that you take advantage of our resource library, and I hope that one day I will get to meet you in person. So this is Tracy signing off.